And I was fortunate to try to get into production around the time of the large professors who I watched, Paul C, who I watched, and Tribe, who, if you listen to Low End Theory, you hear the immaculate precision of every truncation of every snare, the way it's recorded, the way it's EQ'd. So everybody from that era was into, being craftsmen. That was what you did. And it took 3 different songs to make one song. I got the horns from this, and I got the bass line from this. And let's try out, 12 different snares. And it took you some time to make a beat, whereas you got into a later era of hip hop. It was like, I make my beats in 5 to 10 beats in 12 minutes. It's like, it sounds like you did it that way. But again, like if you go back and listen to any of the Pete Rock, Reminisce, Tribe, even the stuff Paul C did for Ultra and stuff like that, you could just hear the craftsmanship in the work. And so that's why kind of it deters me on the production side, not only like dive into some music when I'm really feeling like at my creative best and I'm doing the right things and trying to evoke the right emotion for the song. I don't know if that made any sense.
Did you start out on the SB1200? Because as you rhyme, bury me with my SB1200.
Yeah, I was real fortunate, man. Like Large Professor Paul C, I didn't have one at the time, and then doing organized, we just used what we could. We would go to the studio with records and be like, could you put that there? We didn't even have equipment then, which is why those records are so unique. We were just like winging it, and that's why it sounds so experimental, because we were being experimental. When I got my SB12, I had linked up with Buck Wild, Lord Finesse, and that whole clique of beat makers. And Buck Wild, really showed us a lot in terms of, tricks and things as well.
Is it true that you passed on the Time's Up beat?
Yeah.
Why?
We tried our hand at it. Somebody put me up on the sample, and I looped it up in the crib. It was crazy, just like it is now. And I approached it and wrote to it, and I guess my rhyme was so whack, I didn't even want to give it to Prince. Like I was like, I don't think we're, again, doing the song the proper justice. O came over and was like, give me that. I know what to do. And that's a beautiful thing. And when I heard what he said, I was just like, that's incredible. This is a hit record now because you made the proper marriage with it. And, Buck was his main producer. Buck, chopped it up, made it right.
Have you been working with Devon Porter a lot lately? Has he been a similar type of guiding force for you on the production side?
Denon is a producer. Like, you don't make beats. He will produce a record, have you on it, produce vocals, arrange choruses, criticize, go back in, produce over, and push you. And that's always what I wanted, because I always push myself to the limit. But then to have somebody like, this is again what Paul C did for me. When we first started working with Paul C, we had already had recognition as dope lyricists. Paul C would be like, you could write that over and shorten it, it's too long. And I would be like, but I'm Pharoahe Monch, So Denon is that same way, A lot of times it's magical because it already happens, but he's such a dope producer. I could go to him and be like, sure you like the chorus? You know what I'm saying? If he says, you could be less this and more matter-of-factly about the chorus, you don't have to go so hard, pull back. I'm in there doing it that way.
Okay. You also most undesirable, you produced Pushin', and you mentioned So Good earlier. Pushin' was a very dramatic but soulful record. Talk about how you made that.
That was again like freestyle. I heard the little piece and the sample. The sample was from like a gospel concert, a soul rock gospel concert led by Joe Zawinul, who was the keyboardist for Weather Report. It was a jazz fusion group. And I got to that part, it spoke to me. Obviously, they were speaking to the people because it was a gospel concert, live gospel concert. So the chords that they're playing are designed to say something. So I was like, what is this piece of music saying? It's only a 4-bar sample, and I felt like that's what it was saying. So I demoed it, and I took it from some people who could really sing, and they sung it. And then I wanted to fill it out a little bit. I had went to see Tower of Power at BB King's. And I was like, they're in town, might as well get them to play horns on it. Can't hurt to ask. They were like, sure. I was like, okay. Brought Tower of Power in, and that was amazing because I think one of the music directors from Saturday Night Live works with them, and she wrote out the notes, which I don't know how to write music, and they came in and hit that thing in like 10 minutes and was like, all right, everything's good, peace, see you tomorrow. So they just came in. Mind you, which is amazing to me, it's 5 of them, and she wrote out the harmonies, how she heard it on the sample, and it was like exactly the same. I was just in the booth like, that's insane.